Today, we will demystify and strategize around life's inevitable personal and professional transitions. Why is this crucial? Life transitions, whether you're shifting gears in your career, facing an empty nest at home, grappling with health challenges, or mourning the loss of a loved one, are events we will all face at some point. They're like milestones marking significant chapters in our lives. But here's the kicker: these transitions don't exist in silos. They're deeply interconnected, forming a complex web of our lived experiences. How you navigate a professional transition can have ripple effects on your personal life and vice versa. For example, how you handle a divorce could impact your focus and decision making at work, while a sudden career move could necessitate lifestyle changes that affect your family dynamic. Look, life doesn't happen in a straight line. It zigzags, it throws curveballs. And the terminology I'm using, demystify and strategize, I've carefully chosen because I think it's profoundly relevant to our discussion today. By demystifying, I aim to, in this conversation, break down these transitions into their types and characters, offering a clearer, more structured understanding. This knowledge can empower you to shift and to navigate with greater confidence and less apprehension. Once I've laid out that foundation, we'll move on to strategizing, tailored for specific scenarios. Now, for high achievers, like I know you are, who value both insightful knowledge and actionable steps, this dual approach is not just useful, but crucial. You know, we often discuss professional transitions in leadership circles, but don't talk as much about personal transitions. Yet we're whole beings. And what happens in our personal lives inevitably influences our professional selves and vice versa. In this session, we're going to cover it all. Whether you're contemplating a significant career move or adjusting to an empty home or tackling some new responsibilities as a caregiver, you're going to walk away with an enhanced toolkit to navigate these shifts effectively. And I want you to leave your comments and questions in the chat for discussion, and let's engage in conversation. So, for those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Geneva. And after decades of leading nonprofit organizations, I transitioned into entrepreneurship by starting my own business. And the lessons I learned adapting to new roles throughout my life, first as an executive, raising over $100 million, then as a founder and strategist, and later as a grandmother and widow, inspired me to guide women leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs through their midlife shifts and personal and professional transitions. So, whether stepping into new family roles or pivoting careers entirely, I help women realign their core values for growth and impact in their next season of life. Each experience is a stepping stone for growth, and it's given me a unique perspective to help guide you through your transitions. So, I want to dive in and I want to invite you to leave comments and to visit and join us over at elevatenextlevelsuccess.com. If you're on LinkedIn, you can go to my profile picture, and right underneath it, you'll see elevatenextlevelsuccess.com, and join the conversation for more strategies for growth and impact, and learning how to maneuver and get ready for your next chapter, your next season in life, so that it's the most vibrant and fabulous time of your life. So let's get into it. I first want to really take a look at the types of transitions. Oftentimes we might say, oh, I'm going through it now, or, I've got some challenges, or this. But I want us to really dive deep into it and understand what it is we're talking about with the various types of transitions there are. Now, there are three categories I'd like you to think about transitions in: career shifts, those personal transitions, and those transitions that are age related. And they're each distinct and have definite characteristics. And we're going to talk about the characteristics in a moment, but here are the types. And so when we're talking about a shift in career, those transitions really change the professional path that you're on. In fact, in many respects, they can redefine your professional identity. It might be that you're a corporate exec now and you're contemplating or have already started a new business, and that's a shift in your professional identity. You're someone different now as a professional. Or it might be a job promotion which takes you from more hands-on activity or to more of a strategic thinking kind of role and position. And whatever it is, these shifts in your career really change up what you do as a professional. The second type of transition I'd like you to think about is the personal. And this is where our life changes in our personal business, our personal landscape. It could be that new relationship you have with someone, perhaps marriage, divorce, new dating, whatever, but it's a new relationship. And there's a change in how you interact with people. And perhaps, though, it's a new lifestyle. Perhaps you've decided to change your look or change your clothing, change anything that's different in your lifestyle. Perhaps you've decided to completely redecorate your home in those fabulous colors that you've always dreamed about. But it's a transition, it's a new lifestyle, something new and different. Or perhaps it's a new location. You've moved. I moved to Detroit from the East, from New York and Philadelphia, and born and raised in New Jersey. Coming to the Midwest was a major experience for me, a major difference, a change. It was a transition, and it affected me personally because it changed my whole personal life. The third type of transition that I'd just like you to think about is this whole idea of age-related changes. Now, particularly if you're in that midlife, that between 40, 60 life, I know you've experienced these kinds of transitions that happen. Oftentimes we think of the physical, We perhaps don't move as fast as we used to. Perhaps we see in some of that gray hair we got to do something about. Perhaps we can't lose that weight as quick as we used to. But we think about, and there might be some aches and pains, okay? So we think about those physical changes often when we um, stop and think about the age related transition. But it also could be new roles that you've taken on related to aging parents, where now you're a caregiver. That's a new role. And as you get older, there's perhaps other people that you'll be taking care of. And that caregiver role is one that you had never contemplated, or you become a grandparent, new role related to aging. As you get older, these kinds of things happen. And then, of course, the retirement, going into the golden years or planning to go into those golden years, is also part of the age related transitions. And so, if any of you know what I'm talking about as I talk about these transitions, want you to uh, focus on, because knowing the types of these shifts is so important. So, the next thing I'd like to talk to you about, like you to think about, are these um, characteristics of transitions that occur. And, we talked about the types, but there's certain things that these transitions have in common, certain characteristics. First of all, one is that they're going to happen. These personal, career, age related changes will happen in your life. And that's the reason why I think it's so important to talk about this subject as a leader, because it's not that they're not going to happen. The fact is they will happen. What you going to do about it? And so this is the conversation and thinking that I think is important. The other thing about transitions is they bring this sense of uncertainty, and they do have a lot of emotions attached to them, and they can go the range. And then sometimes they can last for a short amount of time, or a quick amount of time, or last a long time. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what I'm saying, give me a yes in the comments, because these are the kinds of transitions that the characteristics of transitions when we go through these changes we'll find. Let's dive a little deeper. There is this emotional dimension on any transition that we're talking about. You can be on this roller coaster of emotions. Some transitions that you go through, you're excited. Like, I was excited when my youngest daughter had twins. Oh my goodness, the excitement. Some transitions give you trepidation, or even maybe sadness. You just don't feel good about them, or you feel sad, you grieve the loss of a loved one. So the thing about most transitions is that when you're going through them, you're going to be on a roller coaster of emotions. That's important to know and understand that that's natural. The other thing that's a characteristic of a transition, whatever type it might be, is that some are quick. Like, perhaps you got a sudden promotion. Boom. You were doing one job one day, the next day you got a promotion. Things change very sudden. Some transitions come and go rapidly. They're here and then they go back and resettle. Like if you were pulled or tapped for a real important project, and then you had to, get into it and focus in on it and be all up in it and intense on it for, let's say, 3 months. And then you completed that project successfully, I'm sure. And then you went back to what it was you were doing before. There were, I'm sure, emotions involved in that intense work, that coming of that transition, and then it going back to where it was. So these transitions can come and go very quickly, and they can come and go in the flash of an eye, or sometimes take time, like retirement planning. Some of that's a transition. So you're thinking about retiring, you're getting ready to go into retirement, those golden years. Planning about it, thinking about it takes time, probably. And even when you're in retirement, that's a longer stage. That's so these transitions, they vary greatly in their duration and time. And then finally, the thing I want you to think about when we think about transitions is that oftentimes outside influences will affect the transitions that we're going through. And if you know what I'm getting ready to talk about, put a yes in the comments. The things that society expects or our family and peers talk about, like the doubt they might have if you said, well, I'm going to start a business. Okay. And as you're going through that transition of trying to start a business and you're getting all this feedback, this skepticism, this doubt, that makes it difficult to deal with that transition, right? Doesn't that make it more of a challenge to deal with that transition? So, hear what I'm saying. These outside influences can impact, affect the way you feel about these transitions and how you move forward. Another example is, what happens at the workplace culture. You could uh, be a woman who is stepped into a terrific leadership position in a male dominated environment and really run into a lot of biases, gender biases. You know what I'm talking about. If you've experienced that, let me hear about it. Put a yes in the comments. And, for my friends over there on YouTube as well as Facebook, I can see the LinkedIn comments here. I'm not sure I can see the Facebook ones yet, but I know you're out there. Put a yes in the comments if you've experienced these workplace influences that affect transitions that you might be going on to taking a new position or stepping into a new role, and there's bias or lack of cooperation, or people got something to say about you. That makes a transition difficult. It really does, no matter what you say. Sean, how are you? There, Sean Reed says. Redwood says, I have. I'm so glad to see you, Sean. So the point is with this, as we talk about these characteristics of transitions, these transitions that will happen, they will normally happen. They bring a sense of uncertainty. They are, there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes with it. The time can vary, but these are things that I wanted to bring to you because I want you to understand as you going through these transitions. I want you to understand what they are, the types that they are, the characteristics. So, because by understanding that, you'll recognize that a lot of what you're going through is normal and natural. And once you understand something, then you know how to approach it better and more effectively, right? If y'all agree with me, let me see. that, yes, in the comments, amen, something, give me some feedback that you know what I'm talking about when we talk about these kinds of transitions and what's happening now. This last section I want to get into with you is about how to really strategize. And let's talk about some scenarios that could perhaps give us some insight to things that are going on. But, first, I just want to say something about as we move through various transitions in life, it's critical to recognize that despite the specific challenges that each type of transition poses, there are, again, I say to you, there are universal principles at play. So whether transitioning in your career or going through a personal transformation or adapting to age-related changes, your mindset remains a constant, powerful tool. That mindset is your compass, it's your guide, and it's your source of resilience. In any transition, acknowledging the situation is the first crucial step. You want to avoid, as much as you can, denial, and you want to face the facts head on. And this is why I wanted to break down the anatomy of transition so that you'll understand, so that you'll know it's natural and you'll be in a better place to face these facts of whatever transition it is you're going through. And you'll be better equipped to adopt an attitude of adaptability and openness to change. And regardless of the type of transition, the stages of assessing the situation, adapting, and advancing, moving forward, remains constant. Those are the stages that we need to move through. Recognize what it is, adapt, figure out, put some strategies together, what you're going to do, and then advance, move forward. And so this involves understanding your new landscape, the new situation, what's before you, tweaking your skills or lifestyle to fit what's going on, and stepping forward with a renewed sense of purpose. And I want you to remember that each transition offers unique challenges, but the core strategies often overlap. The key is to adapt these strategies to fit the specifics of your current transition, leveraging them as tools to navigate your unique path. So this is something that I really wanted you to, get a handle on, that the mindset is powerful. Acknowledge what's going on. There are stages that you move through and they work for you at any stage of your transition, and that you can learn to understand the new environment, the landscape that you're now faced with as a result of you going through this transition. You're in the middle of it, you're dealing with it, and that you can tweak your skills and your lifestyle. You have that power to do that, and want you to step forward with power and purpose. And so remember those things. Most importantly, I'd love for you to, really focus on that. So let's look at a couple of scenarios that may be familiar to you, that you might have friends who know about, who've experienced, or are really right into this scenario right now, because it ain't a scenario, it's real life. you know, I want to leave you with some strategies that you can use. Oh, that water's good. Leave you with some strategies that you can use or tell your friends about or what have you, people that because trust, these transitions, the thing about them, they're universal. Every one of us is going to face one of these transitions at some time or another, but it's very personal for each of us because the uniqueness of what it is and how we deal with it becomes our personal agenda. So let's look at the scenario of a marriage loss and an empty house. Now, that marriage loss could be, divorce or separation. In my case, it was the death of my husband after 40 wonderful years of marriage to cancer. So that was a loss. And then the empty house is, that empty nester, if you raise children and stuff, they there all the time, then they be gone. They're gone. And you happy for a moment because if they're gone and they're doing well and they're out your pocketbook, that's good. But it's a transition. It's a difference, a major difference if you lose a spouse, whatever the reason might be, and then or you've got an empty house. So here's some things that I want you to do. Here's some strategies that I want you to use. First, you got to place high priority on your health and your wellness. And I want you to develop a regiment. You got to do it. Regiment, routine, something you do all the time. Because you being in the best of health is going to make all the difference in the world. So I want you to do that. I want you to also think about repurposing that space. Let me tell you, as I moved from widowhood to a single person, I had the opportunity to redecorate and redo my condo. And it's mine now, and I love it, and I had a great time doing it. You can do the same in your space that's empty, whether it be your now adult child who's gone room, or that favorite den or media room that you always had and you wanted to change. But think about space repurposing to deal with the emotions that are brought on by a marriage loss in an empty house. Your financial reassessment becomes absolutely critical when you lose a partner, okay? Because you have to make sure that whatever your finances are, they work for you, and that you've got that in place, whether it's a financial advisor, you do financial planning, you take on a new business, you generate additional sources of revenue, whatever it is, it's time for a reassessment. Because if you was with somebody, there was probably a 1-2 conversation and you did things together. Now you don't have that. So you need to stop and reassess where you are financially. And finally, the thing that I really suggest, if you're struggling, find a support group, find a therapist, find some help so that you can cope and heal emotionally. It's all right to do that. Okay. Now, if any of this is providing value, and you like it, please give me a like or a comment, a thumbs up, whatever those things are that you do to say, hey, I like what you're talking about. I found some value in it, some joy. Please let me know whether you're on the live or the replay. Let's look at another scenario. You're a corporate exec, manager in the corporate world, been in the C-suite, and you've decided to fulfill your lifelong dream of opening up a startup or starting a new business. Hey, so you're going to move from exec in the C-suite to running your own business, entrepreneur. That's a major transition. And listen, it's something that you can do if you want to do it and you've been having a dream about that. Do it. It's definitely a transition. And here are two things that you can use for this transition. And again, it could be from, the point here is from one career to another. Okay. And so, whatever it might be, nonprofit to corporate, corporate to nonprofit, to a business, whatever it is, that career shift, here are two things that I want you to think about. One, apply transferable skills. Now, look, whatever you were doing, trust, you've gained a whole category of skills. So, in this example, being a corporate exec, being in the C suite, being a leader, an executive in a corporation, clearly you've learned how to do planning and budgeting. And you probably know how to communicate. You've led a team, most likely. You know how to communicate, you know how to supervise, you know how to manage. And I'm sure your negotiating skills are superb. Even if it's negotiating with peers and other coworkers, etc. All of those skills are transferable as you step into your new business, as you start your new thing. Always remember that, particularly if you're in midlife, that you have gained experiences, and leveraging those experiences so key. Just don't know that you have them, apply it to your next move. It'll help in the transition, which is kind of scary. At least it was for me, moving from a 40-year career in the nonprofit world, then all of a sudden thinking what can I do? I wanted to do my lifelong dream of running my own business. Yeah, I wanted it, but it was scary. But knowing that I stepped into it with a whole lot of skills that I could transfer into this new venture, and trust me, I used them, and it was one of the best things I could have ever done. Excuse me. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to leverage your existing network. So some of us think that, well, I'm going from, corporate exec, I had all those contacts, my Rolodex was long. Oh, well, okay, so I'm showing my age. I'm saying Rolodex. Okay, fine. The app, the contacts app on my iPhone, okay, is full with contacts that I used when I was a C-suite executive. Won't help me in my new role. Absolutely not. In fact, the advice that I give to the women that I work with who are starting new businesses or starting a new career is, that's your first place. Because see, those people know you, they trust you, and they most likely like you. And so for you to go and pick out, let's say, 10 of them and go and have a conversation with them, fill them in on what it is you're getting ready to do, ask their advice and feedback, and see how you can continue to work together in your new venture. Hey, it's a gold mine. Look right where you are and leverage your existing network. Trust, it's going to help that transition from corporate exec to starting up a business, running a small business. That transition in career shifts. And then the third scenario let's look at is going from working into retirement. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. How many of us dream about that? If you dream about that, say yes, put dream in the comments. If that's what you want to do, put dream in the comments. Okay. So the first strategy I would give you, and if there was nothing else I would say, is you got to develop your game plan. Call it a strategy, an action plan, a life design. game plan, whatever you want to call it, but a plan for what you're going to do in retirement. That matters what your vision is, what you want to look like, what you want to be, what your goals are. This is the time to craft that design. What do you want to do in 10, 15, 20 years? Because, the thing about it today is we're going to live a long, long life if we take care of ourselves with the, technology advances and advances in medical science. We're going to live a long life. So we have to plan that life on what it's going to look like. And so having a game plan will really help you with your transition into retirement. The other thing, it's one of my favorite techniques, is legacy mapping. And that is where you think about all of the things that you've done, all of the things you've accomplished, everything that you've done, and look at it as a contribution, as your legacy to life, to your children, to the community, to your being, to your existence. And you actually map that out on a piece of paper. You actually, and display it, but you graphically lay it out. You identify each of those milestones you've achieved in your life and look at it, but you're looking at it from a different lens. It's a lens of, this is the legacy I've created. And you've created one, you have one. And so that can help guide you so much, because doing that, you can discover so much about your passions and your skills. Well, rediscover, okay, about what turns you on, what things you like to do, what things you want to do more of. And so as you make this transition from working all the time on the job to this life, golden life of retirement, legacy plan and find your passion and rediscover those things. And the final thing I'll suggest to you that I'd love to see you really spend some time with is to volunteer. Yeah, the thing about volunteering is you give a lot when you volunteer. Read to a child, go to a soup kitchen, pack groceries for homeless, for the homeless, donate blankets. You're doing that for other people, but trust, you get more from that than you give. And it's an incredible way to spend your time in retirement and giving back. So these are some scenarios for you and some strategies. What do you think? Did you find them valuable? Give me a yes if you did in the comments. Want to hear from you. Let's have some conversation about them. So what did you think? And how can we take some next steps together? What are your questions? And I just want to sum up, again, life transitions are not isolated events, but interconnected milestones that significantly impact our personal and professional lives. They do. And so today, what I wanted to do was to break down those transitions, explore their anatomy, break them down into their essential types and characteristics, and then provide you with some strategic action plans for navigating them effectively. And I hope that armed with this information, you find yourself, you think you'll be, I'm hoping you'll be, I'm convinced you'll be better prepared to face the inevitable life transitions that will occur. So I'm just so delighted. Oh, thank you. It's so good to see all of you. Let me say my good mornings to all of you who are joining and coming in from all places across the country. Dr. Trinette, it's so good as always to see. I see you've had, a lot of comments that we really, really appreciate from you. Yes, and these changes are inevitable. They will happen. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Joy. How are you? So good to see you. And Michael, a pleasure. Thank you for joining. And Miss Mann, love that you're here as well, and our Facebook friends. And there is my friend Sean. How are you, Sean Redwood? So glad to have you here. I saw your comments over on LinkedIn on my last live, but I couldn't get to them. I'm glad they showed up here. How you doing? Best of everything to you. Good to see you. And yes, Sean, these strategies, etc., especially in a new position, make a difference. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, Dr. Trinette, in terms of outside influences. Yes, during makes it difficult. Yes, yes, yes. It's so hard sometimes for others to see our vision. But once I got to the point where I realized that, well, really, they're not, other people aren't in your head. So it's kind of understandable that they might not see all the beauty, all the wisdom, all the things that you see. And that's okay. That's why it's so important, I believe, to make sure that you are grounded in your purpose, in your wisdom, in your, you use your wisdom, you know what it is, you use it, you're grounded in your purpose. And why I wanted to come and talk about things such as transitions and the influences that outside folk may have on them, and some strategies for you to to deal with that. Yes, Sean, I'm glad to hear that things are going well with you. Shanae, thank you. Appreciate your comments as well. Hey there, Joy. How are you? And Maria. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad you're on and listening. I hope you got my note in Facebook about the last slides. They're coming to you. Thank you so much. And a number of you were saying, Amen, appreciate it. Thank you. I'm hoping this is good information for you. And if it is, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you're listening. And please join me over at Elevate Next Level Success. It's a community where you can learn more about navigating life transitions, create life designs, be ready for your next venture, your next step. Nextlevelsuccess.com. Come on and join me over on this. Oh, so the tips and scenario 2. Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. You moved or moving from the corporate to, is that what it is? The corporate to the nonprofit. Yes, thank you. Enjoy giving the advice, and glad you're enjoying this. Transition's very, very scary. Has it been scary for all of you, or am I just the only one who will admit that it's scary? Me and Dr. Trinette. Are we the only ones who admit that it's been scary, can get scary? That's why I wanted to come on and share these strategies, because hopefully it'll make it much better. I too dream about a lot of things, and retirement certainly is on the list. Yolanda Manning, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Well, it's been such a pleasure. Asia, how are you? Thank you. It's good to see you. Good to meet you. My pleasure. Got some homework to do, huh? That's okay because Yolanda says she has some homework to do. Okay, because when you invest that time, that's the thing, to be successful, to have what you want, to create the impact you want, the life you want, it's all about doing the work. It's doing the work, yes, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. And so thank you all so much. Oh, my dear friend, Dr. Pam Perry, thank you. Pam says, I'm so vibrant. Well, thanks to you and others who've been with me and supported me during these years. That's the other thing about transitions. They are universal. Everybody goes through one of them, something. Everybody experiences those things, but they're very personal in the unique situation that you're going through. And to have friends and support systems in place, that could be on the list too. Develop your support systems now. If you know that it's coming some way, somehow, develop it now. Joy, thank you so much. I'm glad you attended too. Joy says, I'm so glad I attended. This is a wholesome approach to transitioning. Thank you so much. Appreciate you very much. So, okay, I think those are most of the comments. Yolanda met me, was ambassador from, oh, yes. Oh, but all this, okay. So you are transitioning prior to your move to Florida. Yes. Well, I'm hoping that you picked up some good tips. And I think you said you did. So I'm great for that. Sean, you are always welcome. And the transition that Maria's going through, being a widow for 3 nows to being a single lady. Yes, and you've made such strides. Congratulations to you. I'm so happy, so very happy that you've, made those. And that's what happens. Yes, yes, yes. We can be all we can be. It requires some preparation, some planning, some thinking ahead. Those are the kinds of things we talk about at elevatenextlevelsuccess.com. And if you want to book some time with me to personally help you through this, that's what I do. Because I've had an experience now and then, a little bit here, there, and gone through it. But the women that I work with now are very focused on creating their next step, their next chapter. They know that they're going through transitions and they want to prepare for that. And they want to be ready for that. And that's what I do. And yes, that thinking ahead makes the difference. And that's what we're talking about now. Life is to be lived abundantly and vibrantly. To get there, you need a game plan. You need to think about your next steps. You need to be strategic. You need to really consider these transitions that will happen in your life and how you're going to deal with them. And I want you to deal with them confidently and effectively. And you can with these strategies and others. And again, book some time with me. This is what I do. I'd love to help you figure that out. Okay, well, I'm going to wind down now. I can be with y'all all day, but you're not supposed to be. There's some time limits that are up here. And then I'm going to leave with Maria's comment. Thanks so much. You're such an inspiration. I look forward to Wednesday mornings. Great, great. Have a fabulous rest of your morning, all of you. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Live vibrantly. Be that success agent. I know you are. And keep finding and giving joy. Love you.